Damn it all, I want to know what's going on. I want to know how the hell this is all happening. I want to know how the hell they know Senku's last, or his family, or I think
First
that's
his full name.
Yeah, his full name.
Yeah.
And also, I want to know how the hell Ruri knows about it. I mean,
why the village is named after him.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what the hell's going on. But, you know what? To hell with it. Let's just go.
I'll bet that I probably come up in your priestess mythology, don't I?
You do. I'll tell it now.
The Star Trek for a minute.
I did too.
Ishigami Senku.
Sorry. Okay.
Just doesn't make any sense.
It does not.
How? He's been turned into stone for...
A tale for the ages. This better be a good one. Apparently...
Still doesn't explain anything so far.
No,
This is the crew of the Soyuz.
This'll be the background music for the whole trip.
That's a great idea.
Oh, no.
Play it all day, every day.
Oh, no.
Please, you don't have to do that. I'd probably die from embarrassment. I was just kidding earlier, I swear.
please don't do it. I was kidding earlier.
It's up to us to help them out. All the 7 billion people on Earth need us.
Damn, man.
Shit.
Damn, this is an underlining story that I wasn't expecting to see.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, because...
It's like another show inside of a show.
Yeah, and Senku's dad seems to have the same mentality to some degree as what Senku has, except Senku's a lot more direct. Senku's a lot more cynical. He seems to be very forthright about wanting to help people.
It's just sad because you kind of know the outcome at this point. They weren't able to figure out a way to save everyone.
No.
All they could do was pretty much repopulate from where they were at by the looks of things.
And, yeah, and I God, dude.
And that village only got that far from those 6, astronauts. One of them's technically a pop star, but,
Well, yeah.
5 astronauts, essentially.
Yeah.
And that they repopulated, and, science was still that degraded from them.
You gotta think,
something
dude.
didn't go completely well for whatever happens.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
interested how they're going to get back.
They have to have some kind of contingency
perfect
plan.
Timing and planning to just drop and
land.
There's got to be some kind of backup contingency plan they have when they go into
they
space
do have
like that, in case there's some massive comm
They do have
damage or
emergency
something.
pods to get back to Earth.
Yeah.
In light of a fire or a catastrophic event on the ISS.
It's say your comms just got completely damaged by a solar flare or something while you're up there. You're not going to be able to rely on NASA to guide you back. You're going to have to know how to get back down yourself.
Which, if they do have a guidance computer on that and it still works, it could do you some good. However, it would not have the global positioning assistance that you would get from a ground crew like NASA or Los Alamos or any of the other space centers out there.
Yeah.
You could do a fair amount with it, and thankfully they've got a rocket scientist. Well, they're all scientists. They're all up there, but thankfully Senku's dad seems to be a strict rocket scientist. So he would probably be able to project the trajectory to get them back to where they need to be.
I just don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
There's so
the
many
ISS
unknowns.
is moving like it damn 3,000 fucking feet per second.
Yeah.
So it's the moment you go out to that thing into the atmosphere that fast, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, the pods do have the armor for re-entry. They do. However, if the pods survive, that's another thing because...
Well, they land in the water nowadays and then they pick them up.
Yeah. It's a lot safer.
Yeah. But, there's nobody to pick them up. So.
Yeah, so they got to land near something, someplace.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your math has to be perfect.
Yeah. So what are you trying to search up?
Trying to get signal.
Trying to get my damn phone to work at all.
Sorry. I really need to get a repeater for down here sometime. It would help. But,
If
Yeah.
the router was down here, we would probably be fine. But routers don't usually throw internet signal down. They only go like up in like a dome shape, basically.
Yeah.
Take this.
So Senku's dad seems to be leading the charge for the last vestige of humanity. That's actually a nightmare scenario I've thought of several times. What if that? It's actually, I don't think it could be stretched out to a full movie, but a short film that deals with after Earth has been hit by a cataclysmic event, say like a meteor, and it's completely like decimated the planet.
Yeah, while you're up in the ISS.
Yeah, while you're up in the ISS, and the astronauts that are left up there are pretty much just like they're, as far as they know, they're the last pieces of humanity. They're it. And they have to, and they go through the quandary, hey, do we try and go back to Earth, or is there some other way that we can live up here for an extended period of time? But eventually they would have to go back to Earth to live, because
The really scary thing about that is like, it was actually an apocalyptic event that rendered the Earth uninhabitable. So like you can't go back.
there's
Like,
nothing else they can
It's
do.
literally like you're up there and you're like, well, fuck. I guess we
Die.
we die up here slower,
Well-
a lot slower than everybody else. We're the unlucky ones.
There was actually a movie that came out I think it was about 10 years ago, called Sunshine. It dealt with these people, these scientists. They were on their way to the sun to try and reignite the sun.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it had like Chris Evans, Cillian Murphy, Danny. It was directed by Danny Boyle, the same guy who did 28 Days Later. I watched it and I thought it was pretty damn cool.
It was really cool, except for the little villain thing in it. But the
that
big
part-
mirror ship was awesome.
That was really cool.
That was really cool.
Because there's a
It was basically
Cliff
a heat
Cur-
shield.
yeah, Cliff
front of it.
Curtis. There was actually a deck on the ship where you could sit there and look at the sun. And Cliff Curtis was a scientist who was obsessed with the sun because he hadn't seen the sun like at its full brightness for like 20 plus years. And where they were close enough to the sun to actually like see see it at its full hilt, he was just like, take it up to 2%, because he's sitting on the observation deck and it takes up to 2%, and he's just like, can you do 10%? They're like, I'm sorry, but if we do 10%, you would cook alive. And he's like, what's the most you can do? 4.7%. Can you do 5? It's like, and they're just like, you would risk lesions on your skin if that were the case. He's like, I don't care, do it. And they gave him 5%, and it's just eventually how his character meets his end is actually fairly poetic, and it's kind of sad, but at the same time, I that movie could have been so much more.
Yeah, it
if they would
There's
have.
only a few things that really did wrong with it. Other than that,
But they were really big wrongs.
Yeah.
that kind of
Well, it got
almost
really-
killed the film.
Yeah, it turned it into a movie that it wasn't supposed to be.
Yes.
That's why I like Interstellar, because it pretty much stayed on the path of science the whole time.
Yes.
You know, it had its backstory and everything, like with the time passing it, with the daughter and stuff. And the
time
family.
passing at relative speed.
And it made it very dramatic and
Yes.
emotional, but it never strayed from the path of like the point of the film was
it
exploring the possibilities
time-
of science. You know?
Time passed at a relative pace, as it should have. Whereas in Sunshine, where they don't have to deal with singularities and stuff like that, time will pass at a regular rate. But the closer they get to the sun, the faster time will go for everyone else. But for them, it'll start to slow down. Now, if they would have done that, that would have made a little bit more sense. However, the whole thing they threw in the final third act, I was just like, no, this does not work. Don't get me wrong, the guy that got to play the villain was really good, but still, I just think they could have done so much more
I
with
thought
that
they
film.
could have just done without the villain, to be honest.
No, I agree. They could have done without the
They could have done
villain.
it. I mean, hell, space in general is just, it's as dangerous as
Space
any
is the
villain.
more dangerous villain, and in truth, space and human oversight, like whatever, like for instance, the ship getting damaged at that one point of the film, like human oversight, and not checking all the math out, that can be a very scary thing. Next thing you know, the whole ship's compromised.
Yep.
But
Space is always just awesome to me. I love
Yes.
Space.
oh yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of certain ages, hopefully you all enjoyed this has taken us down a path I did not think we would see. Yeah, it's pretty much another story inside of the main story, and gotta be honest.
I'm not minded.
Honestly, this was the part of the story that I was worried about them just not being able to tell whenever they first started the series out.
Yeah.
Because my brain was thinking everyone on the planet was turned to stone. This many millions of years passed. How could they possibly ever find out what exactly happened? And that was the problem for me. I was like, they might be doing a scenario where they're not ever going to tell you what happened, and that's just like that would
piss you off.
It would be annoying to me. Yeah.
And now you can see
And
why
like,
Matt told you to keep watching.
Yeah. Because that's what I was asking. I was like, do they actually get to explain any of it? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. And I'll keep watching it.
Yeah, and now here we are. I think we're going to find out.
Sometimes you can make stuff that works like that, where you leave it open to like everybody to guess, but I like open-ended stuff that at least gives you some clues and shit, not stuff that's just going to be so open-ended that nobody ever knows what the fuck, and it could literally be anything. And that's what I was worried
like
about.
Kojima.
Oh, God.
Not like Kojima, no. Kojima gives you enough clues on the stuff.
He does give you enough clues, but you got to take a lot of time to figure it out, because if not,
But-
you're still
but-
going to be like scratching
But
your
you
head.
could say that that's
I
what
don't
makes
know.
it
He does
worth
it on
it.
purpose, though. That's
I don't
why
have
that's
I don't
his
have
style.
problems figuring out Kojima stuff at all for some reason. Like,
Well-
so, trying to figure stuff out for me, and like clues where you really have to figure it out, and it really is open ended, but it's still really good. Is like Dark Souls.
Well, no, he's openly admitted that he loves to mess with people's minds and stuff. I mean, he's even released trailers before for certain games, and they weren't even to that game.
Yeah.
There's even a lot of theories that PT wasn't Silent Hills, if it wasn't for the Silent Hills thing at the very end of it.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of cool theories about
Well-
Kojima and his work and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
and the word through the grapevine is now Sony is actually talking to Konami to buy the Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid franchises out from under Konami and put them under Sony.
I really, really hope Konami.
I hope so.
Decides to do that because
I hope so.
They don't
Fingers
need to
crossed.
fucking sit on that because they're not going to make any money off of it. Nobody's going to buy anything.
Yeah,
to
and
put those names
considering how
on.
much money they've already that's already been dumped into it by Kojima, and for it to go to waste, I mean,
They'd be making more money just to sell it to Sony.
yeah, they would. I'd sell it to Sony outright, and I'd have Sony just present the two properties to Kojima and say, Kojima-san, for what was lost, it is now returned
Here you go.
to you. And then I'd have him finish Silent Hills first because that's the one people have been clamoring for, and then I'd have him go back and do a Metal Gear Solid 5 Complete Edition like what you were talking about.
Yep.
I think that would be ideal. And if he wanted to continue the Metal Gear Solid franchise, or if he wanted to hand it off to someone else at Kojima Productions, he could do that. It would be his choice.
No.
But, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll all have to see. But for now, everyone, thank you all very much for tuning into this. Until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Jacob.
Nick.
We'll see you in the next one, everybody. Peace out.